What is your problem, Allie? That was not, no, that was not okay, and it's not funny. That's straight up disrespectful. You know what you did, so turn your body around and focus. So you should be looking at the board in your book, so angle yourself appropriately. Yep, the board, not me, the board. All right, the integers 4 and -4 are opposites. Opposites have the same absolute value, but different signs. So two integers that are opposites are called added inverses. These two, when added together, their sum is 0. So we can use the additive inverse property to find additive inverses. So if the integer is -1, the additive inverse is 1. If we add them together, we get 0. What is the additive inverse of 2? What's the opposite of 2? So this is like saying the opposite. That's all the additive inverse is. So what's the opposite of 2? -2. And if we combine them, they equal 0. What's the opposite of -3? 3. So if we add these two together, we get 0. What's the opposite of -4? Go ahead and say it. 4. And what's the opposite of 5? -5. That's all they're going over here, right? So now a hiking trail begins at an elevation of 150 feet above sea level. So this is just a positive 150. It leads down to the shore of the ocean, which has an elevation of 0 feet above sea level. What integer represents the change in the elevation from beginning to end? So it started positive and it went all the way down to 0. So is that going to be a positive integer or a negative integer? A negative integer. So they said the additive inverse of 150 is -150. So from beginning to end, the change would be -150. Batten down the hatches. So if you think through this check, a puffin is flying at 20 feet above sea level. What will it have to fly to reach sea level? So what's the opposite of 29? What's the opposite of 29? -29. All right. So that's where all that we had to do with, it's my mic. Sorry. That's all we have to do with example 3. Okay? Does that make sense? Positives and negatives are opposite of each other. We also call them additive inverses. So really just a little bit of vocab, okay? All right. Ooh, not quite yet. We're gonna add integers with different signs. Remember when we add things with different signs, we find the what? Difference, which means we're going to subtract. So to add two integers with different signs, we could use a number line. So this is showing you 5. So it went from 0 to 5 and then back 3. So it went 3 to the left. So start at 0, move right 5, and then move left 3 to model where you would end up at +2. So vertically, it's going to look the same, right? Just up and down instead of left and right. Sorry, I couldn't turn the page. All right, now make sure you are on page 132 with us. Moving right along, the vertical number line models the equation -7 + 1. So starting at 0, we went down 7, and then the +1 took us back up 1. All right, so start at 0, move down 7, and back up 1 to model the negative integer sum of -6. Hi, Bela. Mean. You're walking into the danger zone. This class is like riled up and mean today. She wrote your name was Taylor Bate. Instead of Bela Tate. That's funny enough. Sorry. All right. Here it is. To add integers, this is the most important thing you need to know. This is 132. Do you have a book yet? You got your book? Awesome. So this is the most important thing we need to know. With different signs, we subtract, right? That's why I say we find their difference, subtract their absolute values. Remember, if our integer's absolute value, the positive one is greater, then our answer is positive. If the negative integer's absolute value is greater, then our answer is negative. Remember how we checked which one's bigger? That's the sign of our answer. Yeah? Is it all coming back to you now? All right, so add integers with different signs. First, you could use a number line. You could go to the right 11 all the way to here, and then back 4. So back 1, 2, 3, 4. That brings us to our answer, right? The sum is 7. Our signs are different, so we find the difference. The absolute value of 11 is 11. The absolute value of -4 is 4. So we say big minus little. 11 minus 4 is 7. Oh, so because the difference, because the 11 is a bigger number, the sum has the same sign as the 11. So it's positive. As positive. I should say as 11, but it's fine. All right, so try here. Our signs are different. Remember, when our signs are different, we find the what? Find difference. In your head, you should think big minus little. What's your bigger absolute value? 22. So you're thinking in your head, 22 minus 10. What's 22 minus 10? Oh, good. Now we're deciding which one of these is bigger. The absolute value of them. Is 22 or 10 a bigger number? 22. So is our answer going to be positive or negative? It's going to be negative. Okay. Now, example 5 is very, very similar, except we have to decipher some words to get there. A whale swam here at this feet below, so negative 275. What integer represents the location of the whale now? It's going up 194. So we're combining these two things. So it's taking our absolute values of them. We know how to do that, and we're finding the difference. So yes, I would definitely have to write these vertically to be accurate. Or I could say 6 to get me to 200 plus 75 more, which gives me 81. You could do it in your head, I suppose. So here is a 1, here is an 8. It is 81. However, because this 275 is bigger, the same has to have the same sign as the negative 275, which makes it negative. So in feet, we would say negative 81 or 81 below the ocean surface if we were saying it in words. Do you see how we got 81 and how we got negative 81? We had a bigger negative combined with a smaller positive, so we had a difference. We found the difference because our signs were different, and that answer was negative because our bigger number was negative. All right, I think this is your last. Oh, no, we've got another example. We've got 2 more. Oh, we've got some good examples today. We've got some good practice. All right, try this check. A thermometer shows an outside temperature of 2 degrees. So we're starting at 2, and then we're adding a negative 11 to it. What is your answer? Does the thermometer read over the next 3 hours? Our signs are different, so we find the difference. 11 minus 2 is 9. And is it positive or negative? negative. It would not make sense if it were positive, right? If it drops, it wouldn't go up from here. So sometimes these word problems are easier than when we just see the numbers. So, because we should be able to think, does that make sense, right? A little bit more than we can if we just are seeing numbers. All right, adding 3 or more integers. These are the last few. Remember, you got to take it one step at a time. Our order of operations say we add or subtract from left to right. So whatever comes first, just like we're reading a book. So here we have negative 26 plus 74. So we have to add this. Our signs here are the same or different? Different. So we're finding the difference. Big number minus little number. That's how we find the difference. We subtract. I have to borrow. 14 minus 6 is 8. 6 minus 2 is 4. So now I have 48, a positive 48 and a negative 14. Signs are the same or different? Different again, right? So I'm going to find the difference. Big minus little. So I'm subtracting 14 from 48. This gives us 4 and 3. So our answer should be 34, and it's staying positive because our bigger number here was positive. All right. The other way you can do it, because we have the commutative property of addition, you can move things around. You could combine your negative things together. Here they're putting both of your negative numbers together, and then they're bringing down this 74. So they're just moving things. When we move, we commute. When we have to work somewhere else, we have a commute to work. Okay? That's where we get the commutative property from. Commute means we're going somewhere. So here, when our signs are the same, we're finding the sum. So we're adding them up. So we're really thinking 26 plus 14, right? This is 10, this is 4. So this is 40, but it is negative. Now our signs are different, so we find the difference. 74 minus 40 is 34. And our bigger number was positive, so we should get the same answer. These are just two methods to the same problem. You can choose whichever you would like to do to try the check on page 134. So try this. I'm coming around to double check you. And when you feel like you're okay here, go ahead and try this next example. I'm gonna try and catch up in just a couple minutes after you guys have a chance to try these. So finish up page 134 and then move on if you are feeling comfortable. Everything else then. The signs are different. You're finding the difference. It was in the back of my car, but who knows, with my children. But it works. All right, so remember, we're looking at this one thing at a time. You could do this one of two ways. You can take this, find the difference. Well, negative 14 and 8 are different signs. So we find the difference, which is 6, which makes this a negative 6. So be careful here because now you have negative 6 plus negative 6. And remember, when our signs are the same, we have to find the sum. This is what we practiced on Thursday. We've got to add these together. So 6 and 6 more makes 12 negatives. Right? Some of you said this was 0. Make sure you see why this is not 0. You could also think of this as negative 14 plus a negative 6 plus 8. So this would give you negative 20, right? Because your signs are the same, so you would find the sum here. Plus 8 gives us negative 12. Because our signs are different, we find the difference. One way or the other, you got to be able to know how to get that. All right. Here's your roller coaster. We are trying to figure out where the roller coaster starts at point A. So 43 feet above the ground, it ascends, which means to go up 55 feet, it descends 80 feet, then it ascends 110 feet to point B. So we're trying to figure out how high point B is. So they wrote it out. Above is positive. If it's ascending, it's also positive. If it's descending, it's negative, and then if it's ascending, it's positive again. So they simply rewrote these and moved them. So they added up all the positives, and then they took away 80. So 43 plus 55 is 98. Please stop throwing things, David. And 98 plus 110 is 810, so 208. And then we simply have to find the difference because our signs are different. So 8, 20 minus 8 is 12. 1, 2, 8. And it makes sense that this is positive above the ground. All right, so try this check on page here. An unmanned submarine is doing tests. The following table shows the change. What do you guys need? What do you need? There's none in here. So within 4 minutes, so it's going negative 150 plus 162. We're adding these all up. Plus negative 175 plus negative 180. Now, because we're trying to figure out where they were after 4 minutes. So we're going to add them all up. Do you think method 2 would be easier for us to add up all the negatives and then find the difference between the negative and the positive? Or do you just want to go from left to right? Yeah, does anybody have a preference? All right, I'm just going to go from left to right then. Just looking at these first two, here our signs are different. So I'm finding the difference. So I'm thinking big 162 minus little. That should give me 12. It is positive because my bigger number between those two is positive. Now I'm going to deal with this next part. Plus negative 175. If I'm looking just at these two numbers, Liam, these signs are what? The same or different? Different. So I'm finding the difference. Again, I'm taking big number minus little number. We're talking absolute values when I'm talking big and little numbers here. 5 minus 2 is 3. Stop the weird noises. And 7 minus 1 is 6. 1 comes down here. Now, is this 163 positive or negative? Negative, because this was the bigger number. Well, you don't even have a pencil in your hand. You're not doing your job and you're asking me to slow down. Allie doesn't even have her book open. You give up before you even begin. I can't slow down for you. All right, so we said this is negative because the bigger number is negative. The reason I go fast when I add and subtract is because those things are things that should be automatic for you. Jason, Jacob, we're doing okay? Okay, cool. Now I have not added this negative 180 here. So now when I have this last function to do, are my signs the same or different? Allie, you're not even trying to keep up. Yeah, she's kicked you, tripped Bela. All right, so our signs are the same, so we're finding the sum, which means to add these up. So I'm taking both these numbers and adding them. 3, 14, 3. Is this positive or negative? Negative, because we're getting deeper and deeper. If we start at negative 163 feet and we add negative more, it's getting more negative. All right, so now in our packets, what did I do with your packet? Starting on page 8, we should be able to finish all of 3-1. So we only did 4, but remember, we were looking at signs that were the same, so we found the sum. Now we're more looking at signs that are different, which means we had to find the difference. So we have to subtract. Remember, still, the sign of the answer is the same as the bigger number. So go back, make sure if you did number 3 already, you found the difference, right? 8 minus 2 is what? What's 8 minus 2? 6. So this is going to be negative because our bigger number was negative. All right. So you've got the rest of page 8. And you also have page 9 and 10. So get a good start on this today. So we're finishing pages 8, 9, and 10. We are working. We're going to go over some of these tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have more time for Alex and more independent time. And this week is going to be your first week getting a grade in for Alex. So if for some reason you haven't gotten through your knowledge check, you gotta get in there and do that. You'll have 5 points and Alex due by Monday. Yep. Well, no, you should have your packet out. Did you do 8, 9, and 10 already? Yeah. You've done pages 8, 9, and 10? No, you gotta do that. Before you put your workbooks away, you should be finishing pages 8, 9, and 10 in your packet.